What's up, everybody? This is A Force of Nature, Spiritual Awakening, and today we will be discussing the past life of a Saturn in Pisces person or Saturn in the 12th house person. Okay. Um, Before we get started, I do want to mention that anytime you have Pisces placements or 12th house placements in your chart, that means that you are pretty much an old soul, so to speak, especially when it comes to that area of life. So when it comes to Saturn and it comes to lessons, these people are here experiencing all the different past lives here on this earth. Okay, they are experiencing those things, tackling those things on, and rectifying situations, correcting situations, and things like that. So, we're going to jump into this to dive a little deeper into their previous past life. Okay, um, and for them, honestly, it's going to be a couple of different things. Why? Because they are an old soul. Okay, so people that have Saturn in Pisces, Saturn in the 12th house are old souls. Okay, if you have Venus in the 12th or Venus in Pisces, okay, that means that you have experience level on a higher level and things of that nature, and now you're here to, you know, give that love to somebody, okay, on the highest octave, but you may be afraid of receiving it in return. But with Saturn, no, they have a lot of different things going on in their past lives, okay, and we're gonna tackle it on. Okay, so here we go. So these people could have been a sensitive musician and an addict as a means of escaping the pain of life. So they could have been addicted to drugs. They could have been an alcoholic. They could have also been someone that had a lot of sex, popping pills and things like that, doing crack, doing coke, um, whatever else was going on when they was living. Okay, they could have also been a monk. So they could have also been a monk who was devoted to their faith, but also protected from the reality of modern society. These men and women were a healer in the Atlantis, where you were persecuted or driven by your ego. You could have been a nun who took a vow of self sacrifice and celibacy. You could have been a martyr who sacrificed their life for their beliefs. These people also could have been a Christian who was killed for being a Christian. You could have been a witch who was burned at the stake for her beliefs. Okay, let's back it up. So already we see that it's a number of things that these people could have been already, and there's still more to go. Okay, but when it speaks about them being a nun who took a vow for self-sacrifice and celibacy, okay, they could have also been someone that was speaking the truth. They could have been a spiritual leader. They could have been somebody that was teaching people, guiding people. They was definitely healing people. Okay, in the society that they lived in, it probably was frowned upon on. Okay, maybe they was doing miracles, and maybe the upper ups didn't like that, so they wanted to off them. They wanted to kill them. They wanted to put them in jail. Okay, did struggle with addictions. Okay, getting drunk, getting high. Okay. On top of that, these people could have been a sensitive artist who was in an abusive relationship and never stood up for themselves. Okay. This is like somebody that's in a relationship with somebody, and they were very creative or very poetic. Okay. Good with their hands and things like that. But the relationship, intimate relationships that they were in, could have been very verbally abusive, psychologically abusive, physically abusive to them. Okay? They could have been a person who was thrown in jail, spending much of their life away from society. A child who was rejected and abandoned because of a disability. They could have been hidden away from the family because of shame. Okay? So this is like somebody was born and they had some kind of deformity. Okay, the parents could have been embarrassed and not wanting to keep the child, gave them up for adoption, put them in an orphanage. Okay, and maybe they could have even been a secret child. All right, yeah, this shit is crazy. Okay, also a man who was a schizophrenic. and lost touch with physical reality and empathy, whose sensitivity and feeling other pain resulted in self sabotage or suicide. So these people could have very well um, could have heard voices in their head, could have felt like they were going crazy. They could have had voices in their head telling them to do things, okay, things that they didn't want to do. Maybe hurt somebody, kill somebody, rape somebody, all of these different types of things. But on top of that, because of the weight of the world, because of how the world was or the society was that they grew up in, lived in, was born into, could have been too much for them. Okay, and they could have committed suicide in their past life. They could have been a person raised by strict religious parents. Okay, sin and punishment upbringing. Okay, so now what does this mean? Okay, so they could have been in a home that was highly religious. Okay, because it's specifically saying religious, highly religious. But when they did something wrong, they could have been absolutely shunned. Um, they could have been abused as well in the home. They could have been a channeler who had a flowing, who had a following, a flowing. They could have been a channeler who had a large following. So these people could have been very extremely psychic. Okay, they could have been tarot readers. They could have been astrologers. They could have knew about numerology. Definitely could have known about all of those different types of things. But their predictions were doubted, and their followers turned on them. Okay, so now if they are an astrologer or there's somebody being psychic, this is somebody pretending to be like they're psychic, or somebody that is psychic, okay, but they're giving people wrong messages or they're telling people the wrong shit, okay. Remember, they had a large following, or could have had a large following, people that were, and when I say following, because maybe they was born in a time where there wasn't social media, right? So maybe they was some kind of speaker, public speaker, or somebody on TV. Okay, they're giving out their phone number. They're telling you to call. You call. You get the information. You thinking the things that they're saying is going to happen, and it does not. Okay. So yeah, their followers could have turned on them. Okay, they could have also been a woman or a man whose family turned on them. They could have thought you were crazy, insane, and had some type of mental illness, or you could have been bipolar. Okay, so the family could have looked at you like you was crazy. We already previously stated that these people could have been having schizophrenic, being schizophrenic. Their families could have put them into an institution. Okay, you got to remember that it's a lot of things going on. They could have been in prison. They could have been an artist. They could have been a monk. They could have been a nun. They could have been killed for their faith. Being a Christian, being killed for that. Being killed for speaking up and speaking out. Not deterring from what it is that they believe. Okay, so there's a lot of different things going on. People wanting you to follow their faith, and you're like, nah, I'm not doing that. Okay, oh yeah, you're going to go to jail, and you're going to stay in jail. Okay, so these people could have been very much, let's say they wasn't in prison, let's say they didn't go to prison, but they could have very much felt like their minds were locked, okay, or some kind of, I want to say some kind of prison in the mind, okay. So yeah, y'all. I'm gonna leave this on this note for now, and in future videos to come, I will go more into depth into the past life of a Saturn and Pisces man or woman, Saturn in the 12th house man and woman. If anybody wants to get their chart analyzed, please hit me up. My phone number is 516-738-6042. Okay. Another thing, I do have the sale going on today. It does start the Sagittarius expansion sale, and I am going to do a video on that so you can know what that entails if you are interested. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, so this is a Force of Nature spiritual awakening. Love is love. Peace and blessings to you all, and I will see you on the next one.